Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Stand Up for Jehovah. Today I'm going to talk to you about cognitive dissonance. My dad used to call it suspending disbelief. I used to think of it like this, trying to hold on to two pieces of string and you being torn in the middle of them, trying to logically make these two ends meet when they couldn't meet. I'll give you an example. So we were told that Solomon had 300 wives and 700 concubines. He shagged 1,000 women. How he never ended up down the VD clinic, I have no idea. And yet, when I held my boyfriend's hand when I was 14, his dad was round our house quicker than you could blink, asking me, "What are your intentions towards our son?" Now, thinking about it, I should have said, whoa, don't flatter yourself. I've got 999 other fellas lined up here before I get to your lad. Another example is Lot and his daughters. After the mother got an unfortunate cooking accident and turned into a tablet of salt, Lot said, right lasses, your mother's dead, let's all get pissed and keep it in the family. I find that bizarre, and yet when I got a bit tiddly once at a party, I didn't even try to shag a relative, and I felt terribly guilty about the whole incident afterwards. They're getting pissed, not they're not trying to shag a relative, obviously. The other thing that I found hard to get my head around was this forgiveness business. So, Jesus said to Peter said to him, "Lord, how many times is my brother to sin against me, and am I to forgive him?" And Jesus said, not 7 times, Peter, but up to 77 times. So we had to forgive people, which I think is a good thing. But then there was this other thing about stumbling your brothers. You could be doing something really innocuous and innocent, like, for instance, keeping your eyes open in the prayer, and you might stumble a brother. And I couldn't hold these two ends together. Which was it? It was like we were bipolar. One minute we were super sensitive and being stumbled by the most minor of transgressions, and then the other time we could be committing sins 60, 70 times and be forgiven for it. It made no sense. And one of the things that is really distressing on the forgiveness side is that about a year ago in the press we were told that Rose West, the raping, murdering mother who went to prison, has become a Jehovah's Witness. So she's been forgiven, that's fine. She can rock up at Kingdom Hall and everyone will forgive her and welcome her into the fold. But if a normal 18-year-old had normal sex that didn't involve any raping or murdering or interring bodies under the patio like Rose and her husband did, then he could be disfellowshipped. So he'd be destroyed at Armageddon and she'd be welcomed with open arms. Now what really pisses me off about the Rose West story is this. If she was out of prison and I happened to still be a Jehovah's Witness, we could quite possibly be in the same congregation together because she was in my old congregation's territory. And what's really galling is that when the witnesses were knocking on her door, and allegedly they did accept magazines occasionally, she was too busy raping and murdering and digging bodies under the patio to rock up to the meetings then. But now she's got a bit of time on her hands and she's in prison, now she can manage to be a Jehovah's Witness. The other person more recently that we found out about that's become a Jehovah's Witness and been forgiven is the stepfather of little baby Peter, who got tortured to death. Well, he's a Jehovah's Witness now, so somebody in his congregation could perhaps be disfellowshipped for smoking, but baby murderer, stepfather of baby P, he could be forgiven. I can honestly say that if either of those two rocked up at my congregation, I would be stumbled. Another one of these cognitive dissonance things is the fact that we were always told that God is love. Oh, God is love. Oh, he's a great guy. He really loves everybody. He's like some kind of all-encompassing, wonderful hippie. And he let his son speak to prostitutes and robbers and thieves, and it was all lovely. But the minute you step out of line, you suddenly find out that God actually detests quite a lot of things. Jehovah detests this and he detests that. He detests almost anything. He's like some grumpy old bastard in an old people's home that's never enjoyed life at all. So again, The Young People Ask, Volume 2, Chapter 2, tells us that Jehovah detests anyone who is secret dating. And then another publication tells us that Jehovah hates sin. Ooh. Well, when you're going to define it as almost anything, then that's really quite problematic. So I thought, Jehovah's like some kind of Jack D of the deity world, isn't he? Make no wonder he wants to be one on his own, because all the other deities have pissed off out of his company because they can't stand him. He's so grumpy. I think he needs to get himself a Facebook account so that he can see all those lovely pictures you get with the nice little little words at the bottom that kind of cheer you up. If life hands you lemons, make lemonade. Ooh, Jehovah detests lemons. And now what's the other one? Happiness is an inside job. Ooh, Jehovah detests being inside. Yes, we know, Jehovah. Just grow up and get some resilience, won't you? Another thing we had to suspend disbelief on was this business of having such a strong and unshakable faith that nothing could move us in our strong faith, except if we spoke to anybody else at all in the whole world who didn't believe exactly the same as us. Oh, then we had to keep well away from them, because they might say something that shook our unshakable faith. I remember as a kid turning up to an assembly and seeing an apostate with a placard, as they used to do in the 70s. And I remember physically turning my head away so that the ink didn't sear evilness onto the back of my eyeballs and shake my unshakable faith. So I felt that being a witness was riddled with these cognitive dissonances. We loved people so much that we were willing to cut off our nearest and dearest if they didn't believe exactly the same as us. And we were supposed to honour our father and our mother because they'd stone you in Israel if you didn't. But then if you bought your mother a Mother's Day card, you'd be killed at Armageddon. It was really hard to tie it all up together, wasn't it? And so what I've found since I left being a Jehovah's Witness is actually the world isn't all black and white, and you don't have to tie everything together in one big harmonious set of beliefs that just don't match. I'm quite happy now to tolerate things that I don't know the answer to. I'm quite happy to tolerate liking tomatoes but not liking tomato soup. Makes no sense, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't have to have this unified belief system where everything must knit together, even if it's complete polar opposites. And it's a real freedom. It's really nice to think, do you know what? Is there a Trinity? Is there three? Is there one? Is somebody more important? Are they all the same important? Do you know what? Who cares? Not bothered. They're up there somewhere. It's all going well. Crack on. And so I'd like to thank you for listening to another episode of Stand Up for Jehovah.